floral orange back. Hey everyone, hi. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're doing it. We're doing the thing where we talk about the Booker and the Booker Longlist in 2024. I'm really excited. I didn't think that the Booker was gonna draw me in, but it did this year. And I'm so excited. I have my computer up and I actually have the books here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just spend some time together, and we're gonna take this time to look at the Booker Longlist. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. So I have the picture. I didn't watch any of the announcement videos or anything. And I really just want to use this time to just explore the long list with you and enjoy these initial reactions like with you. If you're new to my channel, then hello, I'm Shelly. I really love books and reading. I love a prize list. I get sucked in, just like everyone else, to a prize list. And it's awesome and a lot of fun. If you are not subscribed, if you're watching it as an unsubscribed person and you're enjoying this video, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I'm really fumbling my way through this video. Okay, so I did a Booker predictions video, and in that video, I consulted the Booker eligible page on Goodreads, and actually the owner, the person who runs that eligibility page, reached out to me, commented on that predictions video, and they mentioned how hard they work to keep that page accurate. And it's great because I'm seeing some books that I saw on the eligibility page, the Booker eligibility page on Goodreads, here on our Booker long list. The first book that I'm so excited that made it is James by Percival Everett. This is his retelling, satirical look at Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, and particularly the character of Jim. I thought it was a brilliant book. I've read it, actually. I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked. I don't even know if this has ever happened before, where I've read a book before the Booker announced it on their long list. So James has made it, and I'm so glad. Last year, I think that a lot of us felt snubbed when Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver didn't make the long list, didn't make the cut. And this year, I think everybody was rooting for James, and so I'm thrilled, along with so many of you, that James made the list. I really think that a book that will mark 2024, the book that is going to mark 2024, just like last year it was Demon Copperhead, the year that The Goldfinch came out, like everybody read The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. Sometimes there are years where it just seems like a book just sweeps. It takes over, y'all. It has a life of its own because of us readers. And for me this year, that is James. I just think it's fabulous, phenomenal book. Okay, also a book that I had talked about was Wandering Stars. So I think that this is a follow-up. I'm pretty sure it's connected to, though I hesitate to say it's a sequel, but Wandering Stars is the second book that Tommy Orange wrote, and to the book There. Oh my gosh, hopefully I have the titles up because, words, I think I'm just really excited, and so it's hard for me to articulate myself when I'm overly excited, and I'm overly excited right now. So I said in that predictions video, when I was trying to make a plan and get my head on straight, stay grounded, that I really want to read There. I don't want to just jump into Wandering Stars, and I'd rather just garner a relationship with this author by going to his first book. But if you want to know what this is about, it's following unforgettable characters through almost 2 centuries of history of the horrors of the Sand Creek Massacre in 1865 to the aftermath of a mass shooting in the early 21st century. So it is going to be following on Indigenous persons. There talks about characters of Indigenous backgrounds coming together in Oakland, California, and I think it talks about their experience and life in Central California. There is a je ne sais quoi to this book, I think, because it has more than just narrative. There are essays and maybe poetry and different forms of writing. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think the book is doing. And so Wandering Stars, I think, will be doing something similar. I remember reading the synopsis of Wandering Stars and thinking, gosh, that sounds good. But I do want to start with There first, just to keep my own head on straight. Okay, let's go to another book I've maybe heard of. Another name that I recognized, mostly because the name popped up on the 100 Best Books of the 21st Century, according to the New York Times, and it is Hashim Matar. Matar's memoir about his dad, telling the story of his father, popped up on the New York Times' list. This is a fiction book, obviously, because Booker, you know, it's all about fiction. It's called My Friends. Now, here's what's interesting. The blurb, kind of, if you want to get like a quick synopsis, is an intensely moving novel about three friends living in political exile and the emotional homeland friendship can provide. And so we're thinking about, it seems like there are two storylines, or at least the book spans several decades, because we start off with two friends from Libya. They return home after their studies in Edinburgh, and in a moment of recklessness and courage, they travel to London to join a demonstration in front of the Libyan embassy when government officials open fire on protesters in broad daylight. Both friends are wounded and their lives change forever. So that's the incident that happens when they're 18. Then you move forward in time, and these guys are still friends. Actually, it doesn't say guys, it says 18-year-olds. So it's Khalid and Mustafa, which I'm guessing are male names, but I probably shouldn't assume. So we see these friends years later, they're still friends, and now they have this really strong bond as friends because of what they went through as children. And they're still kind of thinking about Libya and all of the issues that are there. So it's like the connection of both home, or a homeland in some ways, and the connection of going through traumatic experiences with friends. I like this kind of thing. I like friendship novels. Now, it looks kind of like a chunky boy. I'm not sure how long it is, but it looks like a chunky boy. I am interested in it, and I'm glad to see it on the list. Like the subject matter, the friendship theme, it sounds really cool. This book has had a whole life of its own in my own life, and it is Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle. Now, I saw this on Eric Carl Anderson's channel, and I watched part of his review on it, which I thought was really interesting. He said the novel like sucked him in, and even though the premise was not exactly what he would have thought would be his kind of novel, it ended up being his kind of novel. And this is going to be about female boxers, and I think female friendship amid a really intense sport. And so, but funny thing is that a friend of mine sent me this on ebook and said, I think you'd really like this. And so I heard about the book, I received the book, and now here it is on the Booker, all in like really quick succession, like within 48 hours. So fast, but it looks good and it looks fascinating. Like it looks like a fascinating topic. I, again, really love the friendship thing. I like books about friendship, and so I'm curious about it. I find it extremely curious that the Booker is now longlisted it. Hi, I clearly forgot to talk about a book. Before we go into the books that are pretty new to me, titles I don't know much about, I forgot to mention Orbital by Samantha Harvey. So this is about 6 astronauts that rotate in an international space station. They are there to do vital work, but slowly begin to wonder, what is life without Earth, and what is Earth without humanity? This to me is like the science fiction, the literary science fiction pick, or the literary fantasy pick that kind of shows up on all the lists, all the beeping going on, all the things going on. I know that Scott talked about this in his video, and I somehow missed it. I cannot find where I talked about it, or if I talked about it, I don't know. But yeah, Orbital. I don't know how I feel about this novel yet. I don't know if I'll pick it up, but I did want to say that I recognize the title, the book, and all of that, and I don't know, I was excited. It seems kind of like the left field pick for the Booker. Irish writer Colin Barrett's debut novel makes it to this list. I've not heard it or anything about it. It's called Wild Houses. I am chuffed by this cover. I'm like, it is so hilarious. It is this orange floral wallpaper, and there are cutouts, and the main cutout, the image on it besides the title, is this goat, and for eyes there are just X's. I'm sorry, it's just getting me. I don't know why. I don't know why. Okay, I gotta stop. Okay. Okay, this gets a point for cover. I don't know why it's so funny. Okay. This is about two outsiders. The outsiders are a loner. So we're in small town Ireland, by the way, which again is like, this sounds really good. I'm already really enjoying the shape of this long list so far. So two outsiders, it's set in rural Ireland, and we have one of the outsiders is like a recluse, a loner, keeps to himself kind of guy named Dev. And then we have, basically there's a revenge kidnapping. And it's not, the revenge kidnapping doesn't go well, but the person who is kidnapped, I believe, his girlfriend teams up with this loner and plot ensues from there. It sounds really good. And if this cover is as good as the inside, it's going to be something that I will love, because this cover is everything to me right now. I swear to you, somebody on YouTube, I'm going to try and flash it across the screen if I can find it, just posted about this book, and it's Held by Anne Michaels. It looks like she is a Canadian, maybe not. Oh, why do I doubt myself? She is a Canadian novelist, and in this novel, it's a historical fiction piece that starts off in 1917. There's this character, John, who has lived after a blast. It's the battlefield near the River Escaut, and he can't feel his legs. And so then you fast forward a couple years, he is returned home to North Yorkshire, and he is alive but not whole. He's reunited with an artist, his partner, an artist, and reopens his photography business, and he tries to keep on living even after this really traumatic incident where it looks like he may have lost actual parts, limbs of his body. So he's working through that trauma. It's going to span 4 generations of connections and consequences, it says, and through an entire century. So interesting. I don't really know what to say. I think that Michael Ann is a poet, I will say that, and a novelist. So we can maybe perhaps assume or look forward to some really beautifully rendered language. Another name that popped up on the New York Times best 100 books of the 21st century, Rachel Kushner. So she was recognized, I believe, for The Flamethrowers, and now for the Booker, her new book, Creation Lake. It's about a woman caught in the crossfire between the past and present in this part spy novel, part profound treatise on human history. Interesting. I even when I did some research about Flamethrower, I kind of walked away not really wanting to read that book. And this book, unless something changes in me and my heart, it's probably going to be one I'm going to pass on. But it says that this is a work of high art, high comedy, and irresistible pleasure. Okay, that's fine. High art and high comedy. Couldn't we? I don't know. I don't really love the copy on that, but it's fine. It's fine. So we have that book. Next up, we have from American author Claire Messud, This Strange Eventful History, which actually sounds quite a bit like Held. So hear me out. It is going to be, again, about a family. I think we're following the male in the family. We're spanning, again, an entire century, pretty much. We're starting in 1940, and we're going all the way through the early 2000s, I believe. And we're thinking about how war damages a person, and how it really pulls people apart. What's interesting about this one, though, is this book in particular, is that I think that Claire Masood, right? Yes, that she is using, I think, some of her own like family lore, family history, and she writes that into this story. So it's part personal, part fiction. I think it's fictionalized history, fictionalized family lore, but still family lore nonetheless, which I think could be interesting. I'm just so surprised at how similar it is, at least in concept. Damage due to a traumatic event connected to a war from the patriarch of a family, and the way that they're trying to work through trauma and the way that they're damaged and trying to seek healing through all of that, all through the same century. So an interesting, kind of like an interesting little thread that I'm seeing. I'm seeing threads of friendship and then threads of psychological damage due to war. Oh, I missed this on my first run through, but Playground by Richard Powers. Richard Powers, I have one book of his that I want to read on my shelves. It's like the one that I want to read, so I'm going to definitely pass on this one. But it is The Overstory by Richard Powers. That's the one that I want to read. And Richard Powers seems to do the same thing, a similar concept over and over. It's the environment, the thinking about the environment, and all of those thoughts are embedded in like a sweet story or a compelling story about humans. So the blurb is, my camera stopped recording, how rude. So this is the blurb for Playground. I'm right on target. Playground explores the last place that we have yet to colonize and interweaves profound themes of technology and the environment and the deep exploration of shared humanity. It's it's like a Richard Powers book. If I ever did read one, I have the one that I want to read. I'm not going to add another one that I, like should read because of the booker. All of those listy videos I make are now coming back to reward me. The next book is Enlightenment by Sarah Perry. This, I noticed Perry's name. It stood out because she wrote The Essex Serpent, which someone submitted as one of the best historical fiction books of all time, that it was really well loved. And now this book has made it to the Booker, so climbing the literary ladder we see that Perry has done. And so here we have, I like the idea, but I don't like the comparison that they are doing with this novel to another novel that I read. So the idea is it's a love story, a friendship, an unlikely friendship, and a beautiful love story, and also thinking about astronomy. That is like, that's got my name written all over it, okay? Like I am a hopeless romantic, sometimes to a fault. So anyways, point is that they compare it to A.S. Byatt's Possession. I have feelings about Possession. I could see the skill it took for Byatt to write Possession, but it wasn't my favorite read. Actually, I really didn't love the book. And so it's about these two characters, and they're really interested in this 19th century astronomer. And so I'm wondering if there's going to be some intertextual elements in terms of, because Possession has poetry and letters and documents and a bunch of stuff in it to help tell the story, and sort of embedded in that story is two love stories, I believe. So in this, I wonder if we're going to get all of these like documents and little charts and handwritten notes and all of that as they're thinking about this 19th century astronomer, since it is compared to Byatt's Possession. But if not, that would be fine. And so it's going to be about Thomas and Grace and their friendship and their obsession about this astronomer, and what their love ultimately means both to each other and for this thing that they love together, which is astronomy. So interesting choice. I'm not sure about it. I do like the premise though. I do like the premise. Next up is Safekeep by Jarl van der Wolden. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. An exhilarating, twisted tale of desire, suspicion, and obsession between two women staying in the same house in the Dutch countryside during the summer of 1961. Another historical fiction novel. A powerful exploration of the legacy of World War II and the deeper parts of our collective past. Another world, 1900s novel. Interesting. So historical fiction, maybe has some queerness going on, some romance going on. It's interesting. I don't know this author. This author has other books, and this is maybe her first book in English. What do you all know about this author? She looks amazingly cool, like really cool. She's got these really cool black and white photographs, and it looks like this is her first novel, but I'm looking her up, and there's usually they like splash, they as in like The Guardian or Penguin or Simon & Schuster, when they talk about the book, they splash it as like debut work by this new author, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're so excited. This seems like a debut work. I just don't know. I don't know if it actually is. So I don't want to spread mis or disinformation out there, but this author looks like maybe she's a Dutch writer and maybe she has written in Dutch and this is her first English work. So I don't know. All right, we talked about my friends. Okay, the last book is Stoneyard Devotional by Charlotte Wood. Okay, and it says, the past comes knocking on Charlotte Wood's fearless exploration of forgiveness and grief and female friendship. Okay, all right. All right, she's an Australian writer, and it's funny because this book is about a woman who leaves Sydney, Australia. She's tired of what her life there. She goes back to her religious community hidden away in the Australian outback, and there she has three visitors. The first is a terrible mouse plague, each day signaling a new battle against the rising infestation. Second, the return of skeletal remains of a sister who disappeared decades before, presumed murdered. And finally, a troubling visitor plagues the narrator further back into her past. It almost sounds like A Christmas Carol, but done in a very different way, and maybe has a bit more mystery to it. But it kind of has that vibe to me. She is the author of 7 novels. Charlotte Wood is the author of 7 novels and 3 nonfiction works. So we have an Aussie on the list. So very cool there. I will say I'm excited. I like this. I think that that this is a great long list. First of all, this is an awesome long list for a couple of different reasons. One, they put the book that everyone wanted to see on the list. Deservedly so. James by Percival Everett. I'm so glad to see it on here. I'm just glad that it's an amazing book. And if you were to snub it, I have some questions for you judges. If you were to take James off, I would just be like, I don't think I can trust you. You don't have good taste. We all know that this is a phenomenal book and it is going to be marking 2024 in some way. It's making an impression on 2024 in a wonderful, wonderful way. So that's the first thing I like about it. The second thing I like about it is that there are 3 books that I definitely recognize. That would be My Friends by Hashim Matar, Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange, and Headshot, actually, by Rita Bullwinkle. I like those books. I recognize the covers. I recognize the titles. Like, I like that it's not a totally foreign list to me. And then we go down a little bit further, and there are some authors that I recognize, even if the novels weren't necessarily like high in my consciousness or like really present in my consciousness. And with that, it would be Rachel Kushner, Richard Powers, and Sarah Perry, right? And then Samantha Harvey. So those are like the books that I feel like I recognize the covers of the books, or I recognize the authors of the books. I don't exactly know what the books are about, or I don't have my finger quite on the pulse of those particular titles, but I know enough about the literary world. I've watched enough booktube that those names or titles or the books like kind of stand out in some way. And then we get to the books that I've just never heard of, which again adds an exciting element. I'm getting introduced to new titles, to new authors, to new books, and like there's this freshness and like, okay, so maybe the booker has something that I didn't know about. Just like Paul Murray's The Bee Sting from last year. It was like nobody really had been talking about that novel, and then a ton of people loved it. And then so this would be the kind of like the last little roundup of books that are new to me would be Stoneyard Devotional, The Safekeep, Wild Houses, which sounds really good. Out of the like unknown books, that one, the cover still gets me. So that one sounds really, really good. Held and This Strange Something History. What is it called? This Strange Eventful History. Those are the books that are like new to me, like totally fresh, new to me. And it kind of gives it this, I don't know, like you're doing something different. You're adding something to the bookish conversation. You're not just rehashing what everybody has been talking about. You're adding like new voices, new titles to our public consciousness. So tell me your reactions. I think top of list of books that I would want to read, My Friends by Hashim Matar is the one that I would want to read, to be honest. And then after that, the Tommy Orange book, I think. But I guess we'll just see. Feelings change. And it could, and Enlightenment really, like the concept really kind of tickled my fancy. A love story. I do love a good love story. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I am excited by this list. It fuels me. It makes me happy. I will say that last year's list, I was just like, wah, wah. Like I was not excited by it. This list, I'm feeling really like excited about, interested in. Yeah, so are you one of those people who reads all the long list books? Let me know. Are you someone who reads all the short list books? Let me know. What are you most excited to see on this list? What was the biggest surprise for you? Let a girl know. I'm so excited. Thanks for hanging out with me. This is awesome. I really appreciate it. This is so cool that you were to spend this time with me. And yeah, that's it for me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye. This author looks very cool. Like, she looks very cool. I'm like, wow.